How are you guys doing today? My name is Anima, and today, my good friends, my loves, my lords, my ladies, and everyone in between, we have for you all a post-commentated TBU League Wi-Fi battle. The reason it's post-commentated is because the timer ran out. It was such an obscenely long game. If you really want to see it, then tell me, I guess, in the comments and I can post it, but you'll already know what happens because you'll have seen this, so yes. We are the Golden State Dragons, and this week we are facing the Slovenian Arcanines, coached, ruled and commanded and trained and all kinds of all the adjectives relating to that, yeah, by the mighty Xenon 3120. So, yeah, not gonna lie, at the time, I was really bricking it. I was deeply afraid. He had a bit of a rough start to the league, but that just happens sometimes to people, and now he's on the up now, he's like doing well, he's very scary, and he's got his scary brain on, and he does have a very scary brain. He uses unconventional and cool things, doesn't really go, why would you do this, or why would you blah, which is something I really respect. And it's cool. It's like cool and interesting and can really catch people off guard, and that's the exact shit you don't want to face in a league. So yeah, you will have seen the details about this team in the team analysis video that would have gone up like a little bit earlier than this. And yeah, so go to that if you want more detailed explanation on the sets and stuff. I will sort of say basic things throughout the battle, but that's where you want to go for that kind of team. So just from looking at team preview, he's got some scary threats. He really does. Very frightening. Very upsetting indeed. But I was really relieved to not see the Meloetta or the Dragalgi in team preview. And to be honest, I am absolutely relieved he didn't bring those, because the amount of calking I did for Dragalgi was scary. And it was scary in that Dragalgi beats everything. It's just so powerful. It's got the Draco, the Meteor, and the Sludging of the Waving. And that's all it needs to destroy everyone's life. So I'm surprised he didn't bring it, because I have been bringing my Aromatisse fairly regularly, but I'm sure he's got it covered in his teamy thingy. You will see that, of course, as the video begins. We are scared of the Mega Scissor, but we have so many things to deal with that. We kind of have a good amount of stuff to deal with his team, so hopefully we just pull through and it'll be okay. But anyway, folks, enough rambling on. Let's hit play and you guys will see precisely what I saw. Xenon is really scary. He's a really scary guy. Okay? So, he's gonna leave with Slick, the Dragonite. I was like, oh man, it's Slick! I actually gave him a Dragonair named Slick, like, a long time ago, and now here it is. The Dragonite Slick. Very scary, very imposing. So I decided to go straight for a Glare just in case he wanted to set up D-dances and stuff. I didn't actually expect him to go straight for the attack. I didn't see him perceiving Heliolisk as a threat. I was hoping for that, but no, the man knows better. He goes straight for the Outrage, the choice banded Outrage. The lack of Aromatisse being on the team likely influenced that decision very much. He's got nothing stopping this, and it's incredibly powerful. You can see that it does like 75% Hippowdon. What the hell? We're going to go for the Resto because we are a Resto Chesto set. The reason it did quite so much damage is because we are a specially defensive set. We were supposed to take a hit from Meloetta and do some shenanigans with that, but no, that didn't really happen. So yeah, we're stuck here taking smack from the Dragonite, basically. Little does my opponent know, I don't actually have Whirlwind on the Hippowdon, which is just really bad. Poor decision on my behalf, but, you know, we just gotta, like, stick with it, really. And out comes the Gastrodon. I decided to go for Rest again. It worked out kind of okay that I had a Resto Chesto Hippowdon, because I don't think Slack Off would have been enough to heal me of the Outrage damaging situations and horrible things. And we're going to see why Flossie being around is useful later on. So we're going to switch out now, go into Noodler, because I think this thing can't really touch me. Psych! He goes for the Sludge Bomb. It does shitloads of damage. That's not a crit. I'm Eviolite. I have some special defensive investment. I know that thing has got to be max special attack. If not, I don't know what the fuck kind of thing it is. It could be Expert Belt, could be something like that, but I'm not completely sure. Either way, I thought he'd be scared of the Giga Drain, so we are going to stay in and go for the Leech Seed, and we catch this Dragonite. That's kind of okay. That's not amazing, but it's still kind of okay. I think, yeah, that's pretty fucking scary. I don't really know what to do about that. But he is going to withdraw here, go into Red Devil Cloyd. This thing is the scariest. I went for the Protect just to try and store the Leech Seed some, which would have been really cool, but we're going to switch out now, get our Regenerator back up, and go into Despair the Alomomola. We are max physical defense, This is the same Aloma that I used in EXPN League, actually, so I'm hoping that Despair will put in an equal amount of work. So here's the Bug Bite. It does a lot of damage. Right, at this point of the battle, I did a calc to see if this was max attack adamant, and it was. So I'm officially afraid of this thing, but at least I know kinda what to expect from it, i.e. a shitload of damage. So he is going to pull the switch into Eastwood. I predict this and go for the Toxic. A little bit risky, but also kind of not, because he wasn't really going to stay in and chance getting burned, was he? So we do manage to catch Eastwood with the Toxic, and I know that this thing won't be able to kill me or do really anything to me. I am afraid of the Toxic, however. I'm afraid of that potentially being a thing. But I can't do anything about it because I don't have a cleric on this team since I didn't bring my Remetis. So I go for the Wish as my opponent goes for the Scald, just trying to fish for a burn slash get some damage off on me. The burn doesn't come for him, and we are sitting pretty with a Wish incoming. So that's pretty nice. Eastwood is slowly getting whittled away by the Toxic. I'm not seeing an item here, so I'm kind of guessing it might be Assault Vest, just because it did so much damage with that Sludge Bomb. I'm guessing it could be like max special attack, assault vest, something really awful. I actually went for the double toxic here. I did predict the switch. Well, it wasn't really double toxic, but it kind of carries on from before, you know what I mean. And we miss, unfortunately, as this thing comes in. It would have been really nice to get a toxic off on it. It really, really would have. What would have been really ballsy is if I'd gone for the Scald. But I went for Protect just to scout what this thing was about. The worst play imaginable because he actually goes for Light Screen, but to be fair, I couldn't have known that it was a screen set. I go for the Toxic here. He predicts that extremely nicely, goes out into the Mega Scizor and goes for the Roost. So at this point I was like, I've got to keep scalding this thing. I've got to fish for the burn. I don't care about giving the Gastrodon Storm Drain at this stage because I do have so many, I do have my Tangela who's still healthy. I do have so many things left still. I've got Wish, I've got Regenerator, it's okay. So we don't get the burn. He goes for the SD, and this makes me shit my pants. We're going to go for the second Scald as he goes for another Swords Dance. This was really frightening. Really, really frightening, and I was kicking myself at this point. I was like, why the hell did I not have Whirlwind? Why didn't I bring a physically defensive Hippowdon? But honestly, oh my god, I don't know, that was just a poor decision on my behalf. So he's at +6 now, and I need this Scald. I really need it to burn, and it does. Thank the Lord. Thank you, Poker Jesus. Alomomoto is still gay and still awful. Did its job. But now this is a +6 burnt Bug Bite, and it does over half to a strongly physically defensively invested Alomomola. We're like 130 something HP, max defense, and some special defense as well. So we're going to switch out now to get a Regenerator, go into Flossie the Hippowdon. I believe we can take any one hit from this thing, but my opponent goes to the Roost. Now, seeing this Roost situation really made me upset because I was like, holy shit, Roost. This thing is fine. It can just set up on me all day. It really, really can. I could have gone into my Greninja, but I don't even have Hidden Power Fire. So honestly, you can criticize me for the poor preparation in that regard, and I will accept that. But I was kind of hoping that the mere thought of Hidden Power Fire would be enough to scare him, and you'll see that it might actually be. So we're going to go into Alomomola. Ultimately, I don't want to switch in any of my my remaining sweepers because I don't want them to get really, really bollocked by this thing. I did calcs a +6 burned Scizor. Oko is my Medicham, but it doesn't Oko Greninja if it goes for Bullet Punch, so I can't switch in my Greninja on a potential Bug Bite is the thing, and he's got no reason to go for Bullet Punch because it's resisted by Alomomola. So right now my only real solid plan was to try and get him to around 50%, around 50% or 40%. Then I could sack Hippowdon, come in with Greninja, and kill it with a Scald. That was my plan, that was honestly my thinking, and I didn't even realize it until partway through all of this because I'd had the wrong kind of calcing open. I'd had it with an impossible EV spread of like 200 special defense but also being max HP and max attack, so it was just not very effective. So we're gonna go into Flossie right now as he goes for the Bug Bite, and this was the most crucial Bug Bite ever because now he's at that 40%. I can guaranteed kill him with my Greninja right now. I don't know if he feared Hidden Power Fire. That would have killed him from full, to be honest, unless he was like max specially invested, which he wasn't because he's doing so much damage. So we're going to go into Greninja and just fire off a Scald as my opponent brings in Slick the Dragonite. So this Scald isn't going to do enough damage really because it's Dragonite and it's just going to laugh at that even though we're Life Orb and all these shenanigans. We're going to switch out right now because I don't want to take an E-Speed to the face. We're going to predict that, go into Noodler, who is bulky and is almost at full already. and the extreme speed is going to make contact and do a okay amount of damage, but not really that much. We're going to go for the leech seed here just in case he thought to preserve this thing for death fodder and we'd be able to catch something else. But he does stay in, which is, I think, probably the best play on his behalf. And we're just going to get a little meager amount of health back as this thing gets fully powered. So it's honestly the best situation in terms of it staying in and us going for leech seed. So yeah, we've got a little share of hacks, but nothing too crazy really in this game. It's not really been ridiculous. So I know this thing probably wants to set up a light screen, so we're just going to go straight for the Giga Drain to get some damage off. I have the suspicion that he's not got any, like, he doesn't have Drain Punch, he doesn't have Knock Off. I think it's a utility set, just because of the light screen. So we get paralyzed, and this is kind of shit, but also not too bad. At least we're not taking damage, but it could come in clutch for my opponent at a very bad time for me. So we go for the Giga Drain, and it's not going to do much because the screen is up, and at this point I believe my opponent, yes, goes for the Flash Cannon. So he doesn't have Flamethrower. I knew I could live one anyway, so I didn't feel too worried. So we're just going to go for the Leech Seed here. So I think he's just trying to maybe sack this Electros. He's conscientious of me going for Leech Seed and him switching into something else and that thing just being slowly eaten by Leech Seed. But this is a good situation for us because we are able to stall out the screen to an extent / get a little bit of health back each time with the Leech Seed. So this is kind of good for us. At this point I was conscientious of just having enough health to be able to endure one Bug Bite from the Scizor and possibly get a Leech Seed off on it. So my opponent is going to go for the Volt Switch as I go for the Protect and sap the last of its health. So it was a little bit, I did spam Leech Seed there because I was conscientious of him possibly Volt Switching out into something else. And at the time I was a little bit torn about going for that Protect just now because that would have been the time to go for a Leech Seed had he Volt Switched. But in saying that, the Electros is dead and he doesn't have the death fodder with that, and he doesn't have the chance of setting up a screen ever again with that thing, so that is pretty damn useful. So I do predict him to go for the Roost here and make the aggressive switch into the 8th Wonder, my Mega Medicham. And this was a pretty interesting kind of turn of events for me. I predicted this scenario happening, I planned for this scenario happening. Out comes the Spiritomb, which I extremely expected, and we're going to Mega Evolve here and go for my kind of main thing to beat this thing, at least with Mega Medicham. I could have doubled out, but I wanted to be able to slap this thing onto it first. So we go for the Toxic on Medicham. We managed to catch the Spiritomb with that, and that is super, super, super nice for us. That plan did come to fruition. Looking back on it, I wish I didn't have Substitute. I wish I had Baton Pass instead on this thing because that would have been really, really useful, and thinking about it, Substitute wasn't really the best thing because this thing has Infiltrator anyway. So I think I was thinking about if this thing was dead and then I could sub on anything else and smack shit with High Jump Kick and Dodge, Intimidate maybe. I don't know how it works. Anyway, so we get Pursuit Court just there. It does so much damage. From that I can guess that it's probably Black Glasses. It's not enough to be banded damage. By the way, calcs don't seem to take into account the fact that Pursuit doubles in damage when you switch, so keep that in mind if you ever want to do any calcs like that. So out comes Eastwood. We didn't go for Scald. We're pretty much fully content with this thing being around. I'm honestly happy with it. We're just going to go for the Wish and go for the Protect. Kind of stalling again, I know. But it's good because I don't want to switch in anything to this thing. I cannot switch in anything to this thing. I really, really can't because I don't want my Medicham getting burnt. I don't want any Spadoof drops. I don't want any unnecessary damage where I don't have to have any. So he's going to go for the Sludge Bomb here, fishing for the poison, and he manages to get it. Fishing on a fish. Haha, haha. Very, very funny. So we do get poisoned, and I'm okay with this because it's just a first stage poison, and it's way better than being badly poisoned or something like that. So I do switch out here, and at this point I haven't seen this Gastrodon do anything but attack. So we're going to go into Noodler right now, kind of expecting the Scald. I was sort of debating going into Medicham here, but I thought, no, he sees my Wish, he's going to think I'm going to try and pass it into Medicham, so we're going to go into Noodler instead. So here I go for Protect, because up to this point I'd never seen this thing go for like any sort of utility move, but of course he has Recover. I really thought it might be Assault Vested for some reason. But honestly, I don't know why I thought that, but it's just because it didn't do anything else, and it was doing so much damage, so I thought it might be Max Special Attack, and Assault Vested, you know, that kind of made sense. And I know Xenon's, one of Xenon's favourite items is the Assault Vest, so I do switch out here, going into Alomomola. This isn't the intended matchup that I wanted. I wanted to go into Despair so I could stall out the Gastrodon better and take Sludge Bombs and shit. which is why I went into my Alomomola. But we're looking at this damn Scizor again, and Alomomola is like, no, 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 not you, not again, bye. We're going to switch out now, go into 8th Wonder very aggressively once again, as I know this thing is just going to go for a roost. So every time I brought in 8th Wonder, it was really, really risky, but at the same time, this thing was my opponent's win condition. It needed to get to like +6. It needed to get really, really powerful. Greninja needed to go down, and it needed to get really, really strong because he didn't really have anything else that could take down my Alomomola. So we do switch in to Noodler the Tangler because I predicted him to switch out to go back into the Spiritomb at seeing my Medicham, so we baited him in successfully, which works out really, really nice for us. So I know this thing cannot really touch my Tangler, so I'm pretty happy here. We're going to go for the Leech Seed. Feeling pretty proud that we managed to successfully bait the Spiritomb. It's like the Scizor is not safe. It really, really isn't. But we do get fully powered here. It would have been nice to have Fire Punch because then we could at least smack the damn Spiritomb every time. But instead I had to have a heart attack every time I brought Medicham in. So here's the Swords Dance. As we go for the Leech Seed now. It's a shame we got fully powered, but it's like I said, the hacks hasn't been ridiculous, so it's okay. Like, I got the burn on like my 4th Scald or something, so it wasn't unreasonable. So now we have Leech Seed and Burn on the Mega Scizor, which is absolutely brilliant. This is exactly what I need, because this thing needs to be pressured to roost and pressured to do that kind of thing and not get the chance to set up comfortably. So we're pressuring this thing constantly with the Leech Seeding and the Burning and the awful, awful things. It needs to get to plus a lot to be able to do damage to Alomomola. And I have to sit there and kind of camp stupidly for it to be able to really do that. So he's going to go for the Roost here. And I think he might have done this predicting Greninja or predicting my Medicham, I'm not completely sure, or just trying to get HP anyway, which would have been completely sound. So we're going to go for the Scald just to do some damage to this thing. The poison isn't really doing too much to us, which is really, really fun. It's super nice, so we can just kind of sit here and camp for the most part. And the Scizor is slowly but surely getting whittled away, which is absolutely extreme. Extreme! It's really, really nice for us. So we're going to switch out here, going back into Slim Jim to try and scare this thing once again. And this could have been that was a really dangerous switch for me, because if he'd gone for Bug Bite, we would have been fucked. But I was conscientious that he probably just wanted to use this opportunity to continuously set up. It was actually clutch that I brought Greninja, because we don't die to lots of plus bullet punch thing. We're actually pretty much happy. So we go for the Scald here as my opponent switches out, going into Keldeo. And this was pretty important, I think, because I really wanted to look at this thing and see if it was anything weird, see if it was Assault Vest, see if it was leftovers, see if it was blah-de-blah, because if it had leftovers, that would allude to it being a substitute set. If it had an Assault Vest, then I'd know that it wasn't faster than Greninja. So here's the Secret Sword, and it's going to smack Despair. I don't see leftovers, I don't see anything of the sort on Keldeo, and I know that is not Specs damage, so this thing has to be Scarfed. And it was his only real solution to Greninja in the remainder of his team. So I really just thought, that thing is goddamn Scarfed and you can't fool me otherwise. And I'm going to go for the Wish here as my opponent brings in Eastwood. I don't really think he's trying to fish for the Storm Drain. I never actually give him the Storm Drain ever going for Scald. I'm too conscientious of it, no real need for me to go for Scald when I can go for Wish, that kind of thing. But either way, this thing is safe. I can't touch it. It's free to go for another recover. We've got the Wish up. We're going to go into Slim Jim because we can take any one hit this Gastrodon goes for. Turns out to be the Sludge Bomb, which we do take marvelously, and the Wish is going to come true. We do have some HP investment because I just needed enough speed to outspeed the Keldeo if it was just a timid set. So I go for the U-turn here, and the reason I went for the U-turn is because I wanted to go into my Tangela and bait my opponent into going into the Scizor. Because if I'd just gone for like fucking any other move, bar Scald, it would have brought the Keldeo back out, and I don't want to deal with that life. So I am going to go into Tangela, bait in the Scizor, and this is the situation that I wanted to happen. So I'm going to switch out here and go into my Mega Medicham, I believe. Yes, we do. We go into the 8th Wonder once again. And I know I can bring this thing in safe. I can take one Bug Bite or one Bullet Punch or something like that. But to be honest, if my opponent had attacked any of those things was a 2-hit KO on my Medicham, even with the Scizor being burned, because Medicham is not very defensively powerful. So we're going to switch out now, expecting the Spiritomb once again. Actually here I lingered for a long time thinking, maybe I should just high jump kick, because I've been doing the same play. But then I thought, no, you know what, there's no reason for me to. I'll lose a Pokemon and that'll just be stupid. So I decide to make the switch into Greninja as my opponent brings out the Spiritomb. So this works out fine for me. We're going to get hit by the Sucker Punch. It does a decent amount of damage, but I'm, well, decent-ish, sort of. Not amazing, but it's only because I'm still Dark type. So we're going to fire off a Scald here, and that is going to be enough damage to put the Spiritomb to the point where the Toxic will take it out. So that is nice for us. The Toxic actually means that Spiritomb's kill was claimed by Medicham, so it's really, really weird. But out comes the Keldeo, and this was the point where the timer actually ran out. And yeah, so we knew that the Keldeo was a Scarf set. So I was going to switch out into Tangela once again, or a Limamola or something, and just kind of deal with it, then switch into the appropriate thing to get the Scizor, and I could just freely high jump kick with my Medicham now that the Spiritomb was gone. So ultimately that would have been my game, I believe, and Xenon said that it was also my game too, which was very gracious of him. And yeah, let's get all big again. That was our game versus the Slovenian Arcanines. Super scary, oh yeah, it was super, super scary. When the Scizor was farting around, I was very quiet. Very stressed out indeed. This brings our record to 5 wins, 1 loss, I believe. So we're doing pretty damn well. I felt quite happy with my performance in that battle, because I've been feeling a bit weird about battling lately, but that felt more like, yeah, that's what you do. That's what you normally do. Xenon is super scary and super good, and I totally don't doubt that he will kill everyone. So yeah, watch out. Watch out for that, guys. Today's question of the day is, do you have any cool socks? You don't necessarily have to be wearing them right now. I understand that sometimes you save your cool socks for a special occasion. I can understand that some of us are mere mortals and don't carry brilliant socks on us all the time. I'm actually barefoot right now because I have slippers. Shit you don't need to know about. One of my favourite pairs recently is a it's a pair of socks with money on it. It's got like loads of dollar bills on it and stuff. It's really fun. Here they are. I went to go and get them. Like, they're folded into a sock grenade right now, so you can't see what's going on. But yeah, they're covered in dollar bills, and I think that's hilarious. Tell me about your cool and interesting socks. I really do hope you enjoyed today's TBU battle. Let's hope that we can keep the wins coming, or at least keep a good show for you all. Thank you so much for supporting the Golden State Dragons. Thank you so much for supporting the TBU League. I will see you very, very soon. Don't forget to check out the gaming channel if you haven't already. There's all kinds of interesting stuff on there that I'm sure you will enjoy. God damn it! Link is in the description. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you soon, my friends. Bye-bye!